George W. Bush's 1995 swearing-in ceremony as governor of Texas, the Reverend Billy Graham spoke. Bush credited the pastor as having led him to Christ. As Texas governor, Bush opposed efforts to repeal the criminal prohibition on homosexual conduct. He also adopted the charitable choice provisions of 1996's Welfare Reform Act to allow religious and private organizations to compete for federal funds to offer social services. As president, his first executive order established the White House Office of Faith-Based and Community Initiatives to execute a program that would allow religious groups to get more federal money to deliver social services. The office's first director was the political scientist and criminologist who pushed the racist super predator narrative in the 90s. Bush and his supporters claimed that religious organizations were better equipped to tackle poverty than the government. As Kevin Cruz and Julian E. Zelizer remarked in Fault Lines, A History of the U.S. since 1974, the office wasn't very productive, and so House Republicans embraced more socially conservative proposals championed by the religious right. These proposals would have little to no government oversight and would allow tax-funded religious organizations to discriminate when hiring. This harsh faith-based initiative bill dragged along slowly in Congress, so Bush issued a series of executive orders to get billions of dollars flowing to religious organizations. A charity of avowed Christian dominionist Pat Robertson received $1.5 million in subsidies under the Bush administration, for example. But the Nation of Islam, considered a hate group, and Wiccans, considered to be inhumane, were not allowed such funding. In a 2003 debate, Stanley Carlson Theus pointed out that long before Bush's faith-based initiative, the government was funding child and family-serving agencies that were expressly faith-based, in terms of what they displayed on their walls, prayers over meals, encouraging discussion of religious matters, and giving preference to staff of the same faith, and so on. But Bush's faith-based initiatives were providing more money than ever before to churches and organizations that had never partnered with the government before. These organizations were also lacking in oversight and aided by an atmosphere endorsing discrimination. Barry Lynn retorted to Carlson Theus that the administration has made every effort to legitimize the funding of insidious job discrimination. In every set of proposed regulations, in the president's December executive order, there is clear language that permits a recipient to hire persons to run taxpayer-funded programs solely on the basis of their religious affiliation or beliefs. This means that a Roman Catholic provider can refuse to hire or fire at will a pregnant single mother. It effectively permits a fundamentalist Christian church from putting the words "no Muslim need apply" on top of its employment form. He went on to point out that prior to Bush's faith-based initiatives, quote, people understood that if a specific program in their institution received tax dollars, that whole program could not engage in religious advocacy or instruction or worship, but you had to segregate in time and space those programs from others. That's why even the Salvation Army, which is a religious denomination and got hundreds of millions of dollars in its modern history from the government, didn't take money for its counseling programs because it wanted those counseling programs to include its religious elements, so it did segregate. Some critics said that accepting government money would open up faith-based communities and churches to government probing. Other critics rightfully noted that millions of dollars were flowing to ministries operated by Bush's biggest political supporters, bringing up issues about the separation of church and state. These political supporters championed Bush's efforts to keep gay marriage illegal and to ban abortions and stem cell research, and applauded him when he increased funding for ineffective abstinence-only sex education programs. Black clergy members like the homophobic Bishop Eddie Long and Eugene F. Rivers, who once said the gay community is pimping the civil rights movement, were vocal supporters of Bush. Most black clergy saw faith-based initiatives as a way for the GOP to recruit socially conservative black voters. They were right. The chairman of the Republican National Committee predicted that the 2008 GOP presidential nominee would win 30% of the black vote. But that was before Obama's campaign and Bush's lackluster response to Hurricane Katrina. So what's my problem with faith-based initiatives. While millions flowed to private faith groups who were underregulated, Bush pumped money into the war in Iraq and cut budgets for social programs often utilized in minority communities, like Section 8 and the after-school program. Also, faith-based organizations can discriminate in their hiring practices, and 10 states currently allow faith-based child care providers to discriminate against foster and adoptive parents and foster youth. The Office of Faith-Based and Community Initiatives continued during Obama's presidency, with more than enough taxpayer money still being pumped in religious organizations, though Obama did make a rule expressly forbidding discrimination. Trump revamped the office in 2018 to give more freedom to organizations in their administration of services. Trump said earlier this year, "My administration is working to ensure that faith-based adoption agencies are able to help vulnerable children find their forever families while following their deeply held beliefs." This is a win for evangelicals and Christian dominionists who want Christians holding all secular leadership positions so they can police and restrict the lives of marginalized people. The government is the entity that should be providing resources to end poverty, not depending on religious organizations, especially ones that discriminate and do so legally to provide aid using tax dollars. Along with exempting churches from paying taxes, which is estimated to be $53 billion in lost revenue a year, allowing them greater control over social programs are key steps to creating a theocracy. Want to see more great long-format videos like this? Well, you can, over on Patreon, where a $1 to $3 monthly pledge grants you access to exclusive videos and essays. Plus, your pledge produces more great free content like this. Check the link in the description box below for more information. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe.